Hi, good morning, Dr. Bob Flower, and your Monday, July 15th, Master Pattern Report. Okay, so our last transmission, we had a direct hit on our silver and oil calls. I believe that was the 7th, and silver had moved 5% that particular day. And oil, of course, had a big has had a big move. We're looking this week. We're looking for a move Wednesday, the 17th, and another one on the 22nd. And the same thing with oil. We're looking for a pullback on the S&P within the next week to 10 days. Not significant, down to maybe somewhere around the 1580, 1582 level at this point in time, before we get a bigger drop off, which we definitely think is coming very soon. And everybody is very relaxed now because Bernanke and the Fed has said that they were going to continue the QE feeding into the economy, the institutions, the banks and whatnot, and that rates are going to stay the same for the foreseeable future. That I think is a pipe dream. I think everybody is in the financial field and economics seems to be of the opinion that regardless of how much the governments of the world are doing, we're still not correcting the problem, and that it's just going to be a matter of time before the major thing happens, and that is loss of confidence. And keep this in mind. More important than gold or silver or anything else is the faith and trust in the government. And that is rapidly being lost worldwide, not only in this country, but around the world. South America, Brazil has started off so wonderfully 10 years ago and is now in deep trouble. Russia, of course, and England and France and so on and so forth, the euro. United States, of course, we all know what the issues are here, but it just comes down to how much more time are people going to have confidence in what's going on in the policies, and how much longer can we even sustain interest rates at these levels. You see, what happens, folks, is this, and I learned this back in the 80s with a good friend of mine, Mario Gabelli, one of the world's leading securities analysts. Governments attempt to move money, herd money, into certain areas, okay? Back then, in the late 70s and early 80s, they were moving it into real estate. Then they moved it out of real estate with the big crash in the 90s, with the RTC and whatnot, and the bank savings and loan scandal. Then they moved it back into stocks, okay? Then it went into the internet, if you remember, the web movement, all right? Then they moved it out of that. They killed it, if you remember. Then they said that this is paper. Now, and then they moved it into real estate. Real estate had the biggest boom ever in the early and mid 2000s, and then that crashed. But what happened then was, not only did it crash in real estate, but it took the stock market with it, okay? So now they're moving it back into the market, and they're getting ready to move it out of the market back into real estate. So, and in addition to that, what occurs is, now, because you have so many large international players, more so than before, is that they're moving it into different countries, right? And that's what they're doing now. They're setting up the world investors for Asia, for instance. You know, South America was big, Brazil. But now that's failing. Euro is failing. The Far East, while it's still pretty hot, is on the way out. Everybody in the financial community is concerned about China. And one of the reasons is that China is not, they don't trust the recording of data that's coming out of China. And China is about to experience a real estate bubble because of the way in which they are manipulating the real estate market and escalating values, which nobody can afford over there. So if China goes, then everything is going to go, because then there are no buyers. And as we said earlier, since that market is thin and there are mostly professionals, that everybody gets out at the same time and there's nobody there to buy, goodbye. And that's the scenario that we're expecting to happen in the near future, okay? And one of the biggest problems that people are having, investors are having, is how do I survive? Where do I put my money to survive this? And as we all know, you know, people are very big at gold and silver at that particular time. But look, let's not make any mistake here. Even though gold and silver may make a huge comeback if that happens, it's not going to be sustainable because there just isn't enough to go around. The prices will skyrocket, and then you're back to where you were before. The have-nots have not. They don't have anything. What do they got? An ounce of gold? 5 ounces of gold? You know, it's nothing. So it's a matter of having hard assets in your hand, and sometimes hard assets, you're better off having things like fuel, oil, as compared to having gold or silver. And that's what we're looking at right now. What would be the most valuable commodities should an economy really hit the skids and tank? And let me say this about that. I don't think that there's 10% of the population of this world understands how bad things were back in 2008, how close we came to everybody just, you know, cashing in, and, you know, that was the end of it. And the more I learn from people on the inside, the more I see that that scenario is not finished yet. And to my friends who think that you know, I'm being an alarmist, yes, that's exactly what I'm being. And yes, that's where I think we're going. Is it negative? It may be a negative occurrence, but I'm not being negative. I think I'm being intelligent. I'm being smart about it. I got out of real estate, for the most part, back in 06, 07, and 08, because I saw it coming. And I was able to capitalize on it, by the way, just the way I did back in the 90s with the RTC, and back in the 80s when we had the interest rate crunch. So I think, of course, I believe I may be preaching to the converted here. I know a lot of you don't agree with that scenario, don't believe that it's going to be as severe as it is, and it may not be. I think it will be, and I think that you're better off being protected and ready, and be on firm ground, so that you can not only survive, but capitalize on it. And that's how you gain wealth. That's how you gain security. Okay, so remember, we're looking at some major moves with the silver and oil. And the dollar, by the way. I don't like the way the dollar is going, and it's a sign of things to come. Wednesday, 17th, and then again Monday on the 22nd. Okay? Have a great week. Good to see you again. Stay cool.